The yellow desk lamp flickers in the silence of 2:47 a.m. Rain taps against the kitchen window like tiny fingers of worry. On the table, a single sheet of paper lies next to an empty coffee cup that's grown cold hours ago. The numbers at the bottom of that paper read $17,800. One signature, one moment of trust, one decision that would teach a working mother the hardest money story of her life. Have you ever written your name and accidentally signed away your peace of mind? Meet Sarah Chen, 47, night shift nurse at Metro General Hospital. 3 days a week, she walks through automatic doors that smell of disinfectant and hope. 4 days a week, she tends to her elderly mother and helps her 9-year-old daughter, Emma, navigate community college. Sarah's morning ritual: black coffee, check bank balance, send $300 home to her mother in the Philippines. Her evening ritual: sort through mail that arrives in white envelopes and brown envelopes. The white ones are usually okay. The brown ones make her stomach tight. She's the woman who budgets grocery shopping around payday, who knows exactly which gas station charges 3 cents less per gallon, who can make a rotisserie chicken stretch into 4 different meals. Sarah understands the weight of every dollar because every dollar carries the dreams of 3 generations. But understanding money and understanding debt are 2 very different lessons. 6 months earlier, Sarah's younger brother, Marcus, had called from Los Angeles. His voice carried that particular strain of desperation she recognized from her hospital work, the sound of someone whose options were running out. "Sarah, I need someone to co-sign a car loan, just temporary. My credit's shot from the divorce, but I got this job interview. Big company. I can't show up on the bus, you know." She'd learned about money the hard way growing up. Her mother had worked 3 jobs, sent home half her wages, saved the other half in mason jars hidden throughout their small apartment. "Emergency money," her mother would whisper, showing young Sarah each hiding spot. "But you never touch unless emergency has a name and address." Sarah had tried to follow those lessons. She'd heard about budgeting systems, the 50 divided by 30 divided by 20 rule, where 50% goes to needs, 30% to wants, 20% to savings. She'd even tried the 3 envelopes method her co-worker mentioned. 1 envelope for bills, 1 for spending, 1 for emergencies. But life kept taking from all 3 envelopes, leaving her to shuffle money between them like a shell game where she was both the player and the mark. The debt snowball versus debt avalanche methods. She'd read about them online. Snowball meant paying off smallest debts first for psychological wins. Avalanche meant tackling highest interest rates first to save money. But when you're living paycheck to paycheck, both methods felt like luxury problems for people who had extra money to throw at debt in the first place. Marcus was family. Family meant trust. Trust meant 1 signature on a dotted line. "Just $17,800, he'd said. "I'll handle all the payments. You won't even know you signed anything." 3 months later, the first missed payment notice arrived in a brown envelope. Marcus had gotten the job, then lost the job, then disappeared into the kind of silence that meant bad news was traveling toward her at the speed of compound interest. The car loan company didn't care about his divorce, his job interview, or his promises. They cared about one name on the contract: Sarah Chen. $438 per month. Every month. For 48 months. On top of her existing bills: rent, $1,200, utilities, $180, groceries, $400, mother's support, $300, Emma's college expenses, $250, her own minimum payment on 2 credit cards, $180, her take-home pay as a part-time nurse, $2,400 per month. Simple math. $2,400 $400 in, $2,948 out. The deficit grew like a cancer. $548 short every month meant credit card advances to cover the car payment. Credit card advances meant cash advance fees. Cash advance fees meant higher balances. Higher balances meant higher minimum payments. This is how minimum payment becomes maximum pain. Pay only the minimum on a $5,000 credit card balance at 18% interest, and you'll spend 47 years paying it off, spending over $13,000 total. The bank makes $8,000 in profit from your emergency. Sarah's emergency fund, the $1,200 she'd saved over 2 years, evaporated in 6 weeks. Then Emma got sick. Emergency room visit, $3,400. Insurance covered $2,100. Sarah owed $1,300, due in 30 days. Then, her car needed new brakes. $680. Then her mother fell and needed surgery. Sarah flew to the Philippines. Plane ticket, $1,200. Time off work, 1 week of lost income. Each crisis landed like a punch to someone already on the ground. At 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, Sarah sat at her kitchen table with a yellow legal pad, writing down every debt, every payment, every due date. The numbers looked like a foreign language she was forced to learn. Credit card 1, $8,400 balance, $180 minimum payment. Credit card 2, $6,200 balance, $140 minimum payment. Car loan, Marcus, $16,200 remaining, $438 payment. Medical bill, $1,300, no payment plan yet. Total debt, $32,100. Her hands shook writing that number, $32,100. But Sarah had spent 12 years as a nurse. She'd seen people survive things that should have killed them. She'd learned that survival starts with facing the truth, no matter how ugly. First call, the car loan company. I need to speak to someone about a hardship program. Hold, please. 47 minutes of hold music later. Ma'am, we can defer 2 payments if you can document unemployment or medical emergency. I need that in writing. Hold, please. The hardship program bought her 2 months of breathing room on the car payment, but the balance kept growing with interest. Second call, the hospital billing department. I'm calling about payment arrangements for account number. We can set up a payment plan. What can you afford monthly? $50. Our minimum is $100. Then I need to speak to financial assistance. 3 transfers later, she learned the hospital had charity care programs. Income under $40,000 qualified for 50% forgiveness. Sarah's income, $28,800. Medical bill, reduced from $1,300 to $650, payable at $25 per month. Small win. But Sarah was learning that small wins build the momentum needed for big changes. Third step, side income with real math. Sarah started cleaning houses on her days off. $25 per hour seemed good until she calculated the true cost. Gas, $15 per day. Cleaning supplies, $20 per week. Car wear and tear, $50 per month. Time away from family priceless, but necessary. Net income from side work, roughly $800 per month after expenses. Still not enough to cover the $548 monthly deficit, but enough to stop the bleeding. Fourth step, the emergency fund rebuild, $1 at a time. Sarah opened a separate savings account at a different bank. Every tip from her hospital job went directly into this account. $3 here, $7 there, $12 from a grateful patient's family. In 3 months, $247 saved. Not much, but enough to handle a small emergency without reaching for credit cards. Have you ever called a creditor to ask for help? What happened when you found the courage to make that call? 8 months into her debt journey, Sarah's progress looked like this. Medical bill nearly paid off. Credit card balances down by $2,100. Car loan still a monster at $15. $600 remaining. Then Marcus called. "Sarah, I'm back on my feet. Got a new job. I can take over the car payments now. I just need you to stay on the loan for 6 more months until I can refinance." Old Sarah would have said yes immediately. Family meant loyalty, meant trust, meant whatever Marcus needed. New Sarah had learned to count the cost. "Marcus, show me your employment letter, show me 3 months of pay stubs, show me the refinance application." "Sarah, I'm your brother. Don't you trust me? I trusted you with $17,800. Trust isn't the problem. Documentation is the solution." Marcus hung up angry. He called their mother, who called Sarah with disappointment heavy in her voice. "Family helps family, Sarah. Why are you being so difficult?" Because difficult had become the boundary between survival and drowning. Sarah kept making the car payments. The harder test came from within her own home. Emma, now 20, had discovered buy now, pay later apps. Klarna, Afterpay, affirmed the modern version of layaway that made spending feel like budgeting. "It's just 4 payments of $37, Mom. I need this laptop for school." Sarah recognized the language. Just, only, small payments. The same words that had gotten her into trouble. "Emma, sit down. We're going to do some math together." They mapped out Emma's income, $600 per month from her part-time campus job. Her expenses, gas, $80, phone, $45, personal spending, $100, textbooks, $200 per semester. 4 payments of $37 means $148 total. But this laptop costs $129 in cash at Costco. The BNPL app is charging you $19 extra for the convenience of payments. That's 15% more expensive. "But Mom, I don't have $129 right now." Then we save $32 per month for 4 months, buy the laptop in cash, and save $19. Plus, we know we can afford it because we already proved we could save the money. Emma was quiet for a long time. "Is this how you got into trouble, Mom? Small payments that didn't feel like real money?" "Yes, baby, that's exactly how it starts." They created Emma's first budget together using the envelope method. Cash for needs, limited debit card for wants, and a bright red list of her triggers. Stress shopping, friend pressure, social media ads. Watching Emma learn these lessons at 20 instead of 47 felt like the first real victory of Sarah's debt story. When you're teaching someone you love about money, what's the hardest lesson to explain? Write 1 word below about what you wish you'd learned earlier. Month 14 of Sarah's debt journey brought an unexpected gift, her first full night of sleep without money anxiety in over 2 years. She'd paid off both credit cards using a combination of the debt avalanche method, attacking the higher interest card first, and extra income from her side cleaning business. The car loan balance had dropped to $11,200. The medical bill was history. Total debt remaining, $11,200, down from $32,100. But the real victory wasn't the numbers. It was the micro wins that built her new relationship with money. Walking to the mailbox without fear. Brown envelopes no longer made her heart race. Buying groceries based on meal planning, not impulse and anxiety. Having $847 in her emergency fund, not much, but enough to fix a flat tire without reaching for credit. Starting a small investment with $100 per month into a low-cost index fund. Not because she had extra money, but because paying herself first had become as automatic as paying the electric bill. Financial freedom wasn't about being rich. It was about having the right to pause before making money decisions. Sunday morning breakfasts with Emma became sacred time. No phones, no bills, no discussion of money problems, just pancakes and stories, and the luxury of not thinking about dollars for 1 hour per week. Sarah had learned that debt recovery isn't just about math. It's about rebuilding trust with yourself, creating space between impulse and action, and remembering that every dollar is a choice about what kind of life you're building. 2 years and 3 months after signing that paper, Sarah received another phone call. Not from Marcus this time. From her co-worker Janet, whose voice carried that familiar strain of desperation. "Sarah, I heard you helped yourself out of some money problems. My daughter needs someone to co-sign an apartment lease. Just $1,200 deposit, and she'll handle all the rent payments. You know how hard it is for young people to get approved these days." Old Sarah would have heard the need and signed the papers. New Sarah heard the pattern and offered something more valuable: knowledge. "Janet, let me share what I learned about co-signing and some alternatives that might help your daughter without putting your own stability at risk." They spent an hour at the hospital break room talking about budgeting, about documentation, about the difference between helping someone and enabling someone. Sarah shared her negotiation scripts, her envelope system, her hard-won understanding of the difference between emergency and inconvenience. Janet left with tools instead of another person's debt obligation. 2 weeks later, Janet's daughter got approved for a smaller apartment she could afford on her own income, with roommates to share costs and a part-time job to build her credit history. On a rainy Thursday evening, exactly 2 years and 8 months after that first brown envelope arrived, Sarah made the final payment on Marcus's car loan. $438 transferred for the last time. The confirmation email arrived at 11:47 p.m. Loan paid in full. Title will be mailed within 10 business days. Sarah printed the email and taped it to her refrigerator next to Emma's Dean's List certificate and her mother's last letter from the Philippines. She made herself a cup of coffee and sat at the same kitchen table where she'd first written down those terrifying numbers. The yellow desk lamp still flickered sometimes, but tonight it held steady. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Thank you for everything. I know I wasn't reliable, but you never gave up. The car's finally mine." Sarah smiled and typed back. "The debt is paid, but the lesson is priceless. Proud of you for seeing it through." But she was really proud of herself for learning that love sometimes looks like boundaries, that helping sometimes means teaching instead of rescuing, and that her signature on a piece of paper had taught her the most expensive and valuable lesson of her life. Financial peace isn't about having enough money to say yes to everything. It's about having enough wisdom to know when to say no. If this money story touched something real in your life, comment DEBT free below to mark your own starting line, and share this with someone who needs the courage to face their numbers tonight. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is admit we need a different plan. And remember, if you're struggling with debt right now, you're not broken, you're not stupid, and you're not alone. You're someone who cares enough about your future to listen to a 90-minute story about getting it right. That caring is the first step toward your own financial peace. This content is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Please consult qualified professionals for your specific situation.